Now this is a harmless Florida water snake. They're often mistaken as Florida cottonmouths because they're found in the water, like cottonmouths, and most people don't know the visual differences between these snakes. Now these are harmless. If you get bitten by them, you're not going to go to the hospital. Bites really aren't that bad. Here's one. Doesn't hurt at all. Bled a little bit, and that was about it. Now, one way to tell the difference between these and cottonmouths is the number of bands. Water snakes, banded water snakes, have many, many bands going from their neck all the way to their tail. Cottonmouths have much fewer bands and they're wider. They also don't have labial bars, which are these vertical lines on the lips. Now, you can never identify snakes with just one identifier, like triangle head. Do never use triangle head or pupil shape to identify snakes, especially with water snakes. Water snakes, when they're scared, will flatten out their head, and it'll look pretty triangular. He's not defensive, so he's not going to do it, but they'll flatten out their head, and people will see that and think that there's something venomous. So don't rely on head shape, don't rely on eye pupil shape or eye shape to identify snakes. But labial bars are one good identifier to have in your toolbox of identifiers. Now, Florida water snakes are a type of banded water snake. They're a subspecies of the southern water snake, which are banded water snakes, Nerodia fasciata. The subspecies for Florida water snakes is Nerodia fasciata pictiventris. And pictiventris means painted underside or painted belly because of their really pretty ventral belly scales. You can see more closer towards the tail. Then this varies a lot, but they often have pretty markings. And they have pretty sides. A lot of Florida water snakes will have very bright areas on the lower parts of their bars, of their bands across their body. This can be reddish, it can be yellowish. This one's kind of orangey red. And then they'll be darker on the top. And the older they get, the darker they get, usually, just like cottonmouths. Many snakes darken as they age, which makes it more difficult in identifying them, especially the really old individuals. Now, as you can see, he's not too worried about me. Water snakes can be very defensive. I find Florida water snakes, this subspecies specifically, tends to not be as defensive. I mean, I still got bitten because I messed with him some, but now he's not interested in biting me or musking me or anything. He would like to get away, but he's not trying really hard to get away either. He's not too worried about me. And I'm not sure why this subspecies tends to be that way. Northern water snakes, on the other hand, they tend to be pretty defensive. Now, they're not aggressive. Snakes aren't aggressive animals, but they can be very defensive. Water snakes especially. Which means they may bite and musk, thrash around, flatten their head into a triangle shape, flatten their body to make themselves look bigger, all to scare you off. It's just for show. But these guys are typically pretty relaxed, especially after you hold them for a minute. I think they realize they're not getting eaten. And if I let this guy go, he's not going to chase me. He's going to go straight to the water, which is where he feels comfortable.